filled with accents from all across the world. Pass me that list now, Paddy. Get those names written down. I've just been one of 65 whose voices formed a chanting enchantment, a castanet staccato, stamping on sods of sound. I've just been one of 65.
I would say that we had a responsibility the leadership of culture.
Some others, and Willie's cousin Willie Colt. And my nephews, one from Sydney. You can put it down. Like somebody can.
Yeah, I'm not on Facebook tonight.
No, so how's it all been going?
Good, yeah, pretty stuff. I took it to my local group.
What's it? No, do you want to move up here? And then
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
and I'll go. We'll be nearer.
It's not in that, Paddy.
Are you reading, Michael? Are you reading?
Yeah, read something.
What's the sort of limit do you think? Are you going to do 3 or something?
This is the only surviving house that he designed that's left, I think, in Ireland, so it's quite, again, another reason for being in awe of it, which I am really. First of all, as I say, it's been used as a rectory, and I purchased it in 1995, so it fell into private ownership. I like to think I brought it back to, its original form really, but it's a huge house and it's a big undertaking for one person, so I am looking for possible uses for it. Anybody out there has won the lotto or is looking for wants to be remembered in a century from now as doing something good for Trim, please you can form a disorderly queue on my behalf too on one side, and by Dermot's book of poetry before that. First I'd like to welcome our poet today. It's just wonderful. He's from Galway City, where I hail from too. So I just asked.
Subversive aspect to writing is really important to me. So that being the case, I went through the book. I'm going to read all poems from the book except one, which is on a topical issue. And I thought I should pick poems which push the boat out the most. Usually with readings you try and mix and think, well, I'll read a few nice ones. There aren't really any nice ones here today. The first poem is inspired by a poem I read by Dennis O'Driscoll, who passed away there 2 years ago. Very sadly, a poet I really admired. And it's about people who are always comparing themselves negatively to others. Kind of a negative version of keeping up with the Joneses. If someone else gets something, that must be a negative comment on you. Them and you. They go down to the houseboat where someone is tuning an acoustic guitar. You stay home alone in your tent. They drive gleaming sports cars down motorways built especially for them. You stole on the Headford Road roundabout. They are unruffled as a tablecloth at the Lord Mayor's banquet. You turn an argument about punctuation into a murder trial, yourself in the dock, the judge putting on his black cap. They get their names in the newspapers. You count how many times, exactly. They travel to watch Barcelona play Real Madrid. Your team gets relegated. They shake hands with people you wish you'd been introduced to. They know their way around the wine list. You drink lager shandy because you're driving. They have affairs with dental assistants in third-floor apartments by the docks. You think of nothing else. They can brush things off. You have to know why you weren't invited. No hat, I tell her. Turn up with a black scarf fastened to your grief-stricken head. If at all possible, get someone to sponsor the coffin, and every cent you can from the relatives. But my dentures and other detachable bits immediately up for auction. Employ a church load of Anglicans to tell lovely lies about what I was like. A choir to sing Holiday in Cambodia as I'm rolled out the door. Poets who shuffle up sheepish, demanding a microphone from which to sing my praises, should be buried with me and never spoken of again. If the city fathers name anything after me, make sure it's a block of flats with Thatcherite hallways, where skinny dogs can disagree to their heart's discontent, and sellers of socialist newspapers not yet born can tell children with cigarettes, guys in boxer shorts they got free with the news of the world, about the working class and how they have nothing to lose but their tracksuit bottoms. Apart from that, do whatever you think appropriate. Thank you.
To Dr. Swift on his birthday, November 30th, 1721. St. Patrick's Dean, your country's pride, my early and my only guide. Let me among the rest attend, your pupil and your humble friend, to celebrate in female strains the day that paid your mother's pains. Descend to take that tribute due in gratitude alone to you. When men began to call me fair, you interposed your timely care. You early taught me to despise the ogling of a coxcomb's eyes, showed where my judgment was misplaced, refined my fancy and my taste. Behold that beauty just decayed, invoking art to nature's aid. Forsook by her admiring train, she spreads her tattered nets in vain. Short was her part upon the stage. When smoothing on for half a page, her bloom was gone, she wanted art, as the scene changed to change her part. She, whom no lover could resist, before the second act was hissed. Such is the fate of female race, with no endowments but a face. Before the 30th year of life, a maid forlorn or hated wife. Stella to you her tutor owes, that she's ne'er resembled those, nor was a burden to mankind, with half her course of years behind. You taught how I might youth prolong, by knowing what was right and wrong, how from my heart to bring supplies of lust to my fading eyes, how soon a beauteous mind repairs the loss of changed or falling hairs, how wit and virtue from within send out a smoothness o'er the skin. Your lectures could my fancy fix, and I can please at 36. The sight of Chloe at 15 coquetting gives me not the spleen, the idol now of every fool, till time shall make their passions cool, then tumbling down time's steepy hill, while Stella holds her station still. Oh, turn your precepts into laws. Redeem the women's ruined cause. Retrieve lost empire to our sex, that men may bow their rebel necks. Long be that day that gave you birth, sacred to friendship, wit and mirth. Late dying, may you cast a shred of your rich mantle o'er my head, to bear with dignity my sorrow. One day alone, then die tomorrow.
I do not grudge my two strong sons that I have seen go out to break their strength and die. They and a few in bloody protest for a glorious thing. They shall be spoken of among their people. Generations shall remember them and call them blessed. But I shall speak their names to my own heart in the long nights. Lord, thou art hard on mothers. We suffer in their coming and in their going. But I grudge them not. My sons were faithful.
When Fingale and his vision seemed bright, ere he dreamed all our ills would decay. Then his heart was as light as the wild wind that blows, as he functioned within RTE. But distorted he played into endless charade. Then the banks full the hapless George Lee. But distorted he played into endless charade. Then the banks full the hapless George Lee. And then in the springtime of laughter and song,
Person Willie Swift himself. Verb, to write, of course. Place, trim, of course. Verb, to trim. Adjective, sharp. Perhaps this is a reference. Statement, satire. I pulled down the invisible handle of a generator and read, "How are you today, Jonathan Swift? I love to see you write. Your trim makes me trim. You are truly sharp. I love you, Jonathan Swift."
You make weekly visits to the pharmacy to get your prescription. So you basically go in the door and nod at the girl and she knows exactly what you want. And then you hang around while you're waiting for that. And the pharmacies are wonderful places because whereas most people go in for medicine for all those things that start going wrong with your body, on one side there's all this cosmetic stuff and hair dye and all that. So this is where this poem comes from. An older man waits for his prescription. The impossible women on the posters sneer at his wrinkled forehead, his blotched skin, his short attention span. He hears the hair dye beauties mock his bald head and badger beard. Can't avoid the winks and knowing glances of the pouting, lipstick-perfect ladies ranged at eye level for instant sale on their promising the checkout girls. But then the boss emerges with the blister packs, explains which are to be taken with, before and after. He stares, asks, are there side effects? The pharmacist smiles, a perfect set of teeth. Worn and handed over with some gentle words. Our kitchen table will be heaped, and for 3 days and 3 nights, grateful mourners will enjoy the rich crust of friendship and tradition.
5, whose voices soared above the air of Trim Castle, filled with accents from all across the world. Pass me that list now, Paddy. Get those names written down. I've just been one of 65, whose voices formed a chanting enchantment, a castanet staccato, stamping on sods of sound. I've just been one of 65, whose feet stood in 2 countries, no division or derision, just laughter and unity. Clay is left for Irish. Clay is the soil which nourishes. I've just been one of 65 voices who used back scratchers to fill doggy doo-doo bags with soil from the Antrim coast. A swift tribute to Swift in 4 minutes 25.9 seconds. I've just been one of 65 voices telling a tale of a tub, a coat the brothers couldn't leave alone.
Whisper no more, for I will not hear you. No need to think I will come, as you will not see me. I ask you to be grateful for the memories we share. Understand now, my path in life has been walked, every stone unturned, every thought cogitated like the motions of a grandfather clock. Now my legacy is
Paddy tells me I'm the next to last, dear listeners, next to last speaker, the penultimate. Now, the other piece of good news is that I didn't write this myself. This is a poem by Jonathan Swift's friend Thomas Sheridan to Jonathan Swift, and it's called A True and Faithful Inventory of the Goods Belonging to Dr. Swift, Vicar of Larracore, upon lending his house to the Bishop of Meath until his own was built. And this was published in 1725-26. And I have to read this piece because Pat Dunn wrote it for me. The Bishop of Meath was Henry Downes. Swift's house was in Larracore, County Meath, near Trim, the bishop's seat at the time. The poem was said to have been written by Sheridan as a counter to a similar unflattering list of the contents of Sheridan's house at Quilca.
I wasn't prepared for this one. I haven't time. A little poem I wrote quite some time ago. It's called Outlook. I wandered through the gates of hell and felt the melting heat. I saw the torment in each eye and glimpsed the devil's seat. I feared to move or even breathe, for there the stoker's thirst was quenched by blood of humans, sad wretches who were cursed. I gazed in wonder at the scene, but kept my eyes from him, who sat upon the brimstone throne and mocked all those within. The walls of that